You feel it every day. Life pulls at you constantly. A notification lights up your screen. Someone's opinion lands like a stone in still water. A comparison sneaks in through a scroll. A failure stings. Drama from people you barely know demands your attention. Expectations, your own and others, press down on your shoulders. One comment, one silence, one unmet hope, and suddenly your mood shifts. Your thoughts spiral. Your energy scatters. Before the day has truly begun, you are already tired. Most people live this way, exhausted, reactive, caring too much about things that do not serve them. They chase approval. They cling to outcomes. They absorb every piece of noise, every rejection, every wave of other people's emotions. They hand their peace over to the world and wonder why they feel so drained, so fragile, so controlled by forces outside themselves. But there is another way. In today's audiobook, The Art of Indifference, The Power of Not Caring, we'll explore that other way, the way of being indifferent, of learning not to care. Not the cold, careless apathy the world sometimes mistakes it for. Not laziness, not disconnection from life. This is something far more powerful. Strategic indifference is a deliberate choice. It is the wisdom to stop caring about what does not matter so you can care deeply about what does. It is the strength to protect your energy, guard your attention, and keep your inner world steady, even when the outer world is chaotic. This is not about becoming numb. It is about becoming free. It is about no longer letting every opinion, every setback, every distraction dictate how you feel, how you act, or who you become. When you master the art of indifference, you stop reacting to everything. You start responding with clarity. You stop chasing validation and start trusting yourself. You stop scattering your power and start directing it with intention. Imagine moving through life like a deep river. The surface may ripple with wind and rain, but the depths remain calm, steady, and powerful. That is what awaits you. Not a life without tests. Life will always test you, but a life where those tests no longer control you. Over the next 90 minutes, across these chapters, we are not going to promise an easy existence without conflict or disappointment. We will not teach you to suppress your feelings or pretend you do not care. Instead, we will train something far more valuable, your response. We will explore how to release the need for approval, detach from outcomes, ignore the noise, embrace rejection and failure, let go of control over others, and focus ruthlessly on what truly matters. You will learn to create space between what happens and how you react. You will discover the freedom of not personalizing everything. You will practice setting boundaries without emotional entanglement. You will build the quiet confidence that comes from conserving your energy like a wise leader. This is your training in emotional mastery, not through force or denial, but through awareness, practice, and wise indifference. Calm is not a personality trait you are born with. It is a skill you build. And when you train it long enough, you become the calmest person in any room. Not because the world has quieted, but because you have stopped letting it disturb your center. So take a slow, deep breath right now. Feel your body settle. Let your thoughts slow down. Release the tension you may be carrying. This journey is not about becoming someone new. It is about returning to the steady, powerful self that has always lived beneath the noise. You are ready. Life will continue to push. People will continue to test. Circumstances will continue to challenge. But from this moment forward, you will meet them differently. With clarity, with freedom, with the unshakable power that comes from knowing what to care about and what to release. This is the art of indifference. This is the power of not caring about the wrong things. And it will change how you move through every single day. Let us begin. Chapter 1. Release the need for approval. You post something honest. You send a message that matters. You share an idea in a meeting. Then you wait. You check your phone. You scan the room for reactions. A reply doesn't come fast enough. A like doesn't appear. A neutral face stares back at you. And just like that, your mood shifts. Your chest tightens. The rest of your day feels heavier. One missing approval, and your inner state begins to unravel. This is how subtle it is. Most people tie their emotional weather to the responses of others. A compliment lifts them. Silence sinks them. A critical comment sends them spiraling. They believe that being liked, respected, or validated by others is the foundation of their worth. But here is the deeper truth. The more you seek approval, the more fragile you become. You hand the keys to your peace to anyone willing to offer an opinion. Why does this happen? Because approval feels like safety. It feels like belonging. At the surface, it seems harmless, natural, even human. We are social beings. Connection matters. Yet, when your sense of self depends on external validation, you make yourself hostage to forces you cannot control. One person's bad day becomes your doubt. One distracted glance becomes your rejection. One differing opinion becomes proof that something is wrong with you. Imagine two people sharing the same vulnerable idea in a group setting. The first person waits anxiously for nods, smiles, agreement. When they come slowly, or not at all, her mind races. They think I'm foolish. I shouldn't have spoken. She spends the rest of the meeting replaying her words, shrinking inside. The second person shares the same idea, then returns to her own center. She notices the responses without attaching her worth to them. Some agree, some don't. She extracts what is useful and moves forward. Same moment, but completely different inner experience. The difference was never the audience. It was whose approval the person needed. This is the psychology beneath the surface. Your identity has quietly become entangled with other people's opinions. Deep down sits a fear of judgment, an old belief that you are only okay if others say so. The ego clings to this. It wants to be seen as competent, likable, wise, successful. When that image is threatened or simply not affirmed, the ego panics. It pushes you to perform, to explain, to chase. And in the chase, you lose yourself. But you can release the need for approval without becoming cold or arrogant. Releasing it is not indifference to people. Rather, it is freedom from their power over your inner world. It is self-trust in its purest form. When you no longer need everyone's approval, you stop editing your truth before speaking. You stop waiting for permission to move. You stop measuring your day by how many people liked what you did. Your confidence stops fluctuating with every external signal and begins resting on something far more stable, your own knowing. This does not mean you stop caring about feedback. Feedback is information, valuable information, but approval is different. Approval is emotional currency you spend your peace to acquire. The wise person welcomes honest input while remaining unbothered by whether it comes wrapped in praise. But why does the need for approval grip us so tightly? Because from early on, many of us learned that love, safety, and worth were conditional. Be good, be agreeable, be impressive, then you will be accepted. That conditioning runs deep. It whispers that if you are not approved of, you are not enough. But maturity reveals the lie. Your worth was never on trial. It was never theirs to grant. True inner stability comes when you separate your value from other people's preferences. You are not defined by their likes. You are not diminished by their silence. You are not incomplete because someone fails to see you clearly. You exist fully, independently, before any opinion is offered. Here is a practical exercise you can begin right now. The next time you notice yourself waiting for approval, like checking your phone after a message, scanning faces after you speak, replaying a conversation for signs of acceptance, pause. Name it gently. I am seeking approval again. Then ask yourself three simple questions. What would I do or say right now if I didn't need their approval? Is this moment truly about their opinion, or is it about my own integrity? Can I give myself the validation I am waiting for from them? Speak the answer internally, or write it down. Redirect your attention back to your own values, your own standards, your own next right action. Do this consistently, and the reflex weakens. What once triggered anxiety becomes just another passing thought. You will still notice the pull. That is human, but you will no longer follow it. You will feel the old habit, breathe through it, and choose your own center instead. Each time you do, you strengthen the muscle of self-trust. There is a beautiful freedom on the other side of this release. You begin to show up more authentically. Your words carry quiet power because they are not crafted for applause. Your choices become cleaner because they are not filtered through fear of judgment. You create, you speak, you live from a deeper place. And ironically, people often respond with more genuine respect to someone who clearly does not need their approval. This is not arrogance. Arrogance pretends not to care while secretly craving validation. True indifference to approval is humble. It says, I know who I am. Your view of me may be accurate or distorted, but it does not change my course. It is grounded self-trust. It is emotional adulthood. As you release the need for approval, you will feel space opening inside you. Space for real connection instead of performance. Space for creativity instead of people-pleasing. Space for peace instead of constant monitoring. Your nervous system relaxes. Your mind clears. You become steadier in conversations, in silence, in uncertainty. Life will continue to offer opportunities to seek approval. Social media, work meetings, family gatherings, romantic moments. Each one becomes a quiet classroom. Will you hand over your power today, or will you keep it? Choose to keep it. Choose to validate yourself. Choose to act from your own compass. In that choice, you reclaim something ancient and powerful, your sovereignty. This is the beginning of the art of indifference, not caring in a way that closes your heart, but in a way that opens your freedom. When you no longer need the world's permission to be yourself, you move differently. You speak differently. You rest differently. You become the calmest person in the room, not because everyone approves of you, but because their approval is no longer required for your peace. That is power. Quiet, deep, unshakable. Release the need for approval. Trust yourself instead, and watch how life feels lighter, clearer, and far more yours than it ever did before. Chapter 2. Detach from outcomes. You prepare carefully. You pour your energy into the job interview, the important project, the relationship you hope will deepen. Then the waiting begins. Your mind rehearses every possible future. What if they don't choose me? What if the project falls short? What if this person pulls away? The uncertainty tightens around your chest. Sleep becomes restless. Focus scatters. A single hoped-for outcome begins to color your entire mood, even before anything is decided. This is the hidden weight of attachment. You want things to go a certain way so badly that the possibility of them going differently steals your peace right now. Life tests you not only through what happens, but through what might happen. And when your happiness is tied to specific results, you suffer long before any result arrives. Most people believe that caring deeply about an outcome is what drives success. They think intensity equals commitment. But here is the quieter truth. Excessive attachment to outcomes creates suffering and blocks the very clarity you need to act effectively. The more tightly you grip the future, the less present and powerful you become in the present. Your mind becomes consumed with variables you cannot control. You overthink. You overprepare in anxious ways. You second guess yourself. And when the outcome finally arrives, if it doesn't match the exact picture you held, you feel devastated, even if the result is still good. This is how attachment turns potential growth into quiet torment. Think of it like planting a seed in rich soil. You water it. You give it sunlight. You protect it from harsh winds. That is your part. The seed knows how to grow. The rain, the sun, the timing of seasons, these are not yours to command. If you sit beside it every day, demanding it sprout on your schedule, measuring its progress with constant anxiety, you exhaust yourself and disturb the very process you wish to support. The wise gardener tends the seed with care, then trusts the unseen intelligence of life. She does her part fully, then releases the exact harvest. You can live this way too. There was a woman named Janet who once tied her entire sense of self to specific outcomes. She applied for a promotion she desperately wanted. She prepared for weeks, imagining the new title, the recognition, the security it would bring. As the decision dragged on, her anxiety grew. She replayed every conversation with her boss. She lost sleep. Her work suffered because worry clouded her focus. When the promotion went to someone else, the blow felt crushing and she questioned her worth for months. Years later, after many such cycles, Janet began to experiment with detachment. She still prepared thoroughly. She still gave her best effort. But she practiced releasing her grip on the exact result. Before her next big opportunity, a major client presentation, she told herself, I will prepare with full attention. I will show up fully. Whatever the outcome, I will learn and continue. She visualized not just success, but also acceptance of any result. She felt the feelings of disappointment in advance and saw that she could survive them. The presentation went well, but not perfectly. The client chose a modified version of her proposal. In the past, this would have devastated her. This time, she felt steady. She extracted the lessons, adjusted her approach, and moved forward with energy intact. Months later, that same client returned with a larger opportunity, precisely because her calm confidence had left a stronger impression than any desperate striving could have. This is the power available to you. Detachment from outcomes does not mean you stop caring. It does not mean you give up or lower your standards. It is the opposite of giving up. It is playing with freedom and power. When you are no longer chained to one specific result, you act with greater courage. You take smarter risks. You recover faster. You see opportunities that anxious attachment would have hidden from view. Here is a practical way to begin training this skill. The next time you find yourself invested in a particular outcome, whether it is a conversation, a project, an opportunity, or a relationship, pause and create conscious space. Ask yourself, what is fully within my control right now? Your effort, your attitude, your preparation, your integrity. What is outside my control? Other people's decisions, timing, external circumstances. Write these down, if possible. Then shift your focus entirely to the first list. Pour your energy there. Give your best without bargaining with the universe for a guaranteed result. A second powerful technique is worst-case acceptance. Before an important event, quietly visualize the outcome you fear most. Feel it fully for a few moments. Ask, if this happens, can I still be okay? Can I still move forward? What would I do next? Most often, you discover that even the feared outcome is survivable. This simple mental rehearsal robs uncertainty of its terror. You stop living in dread and start acting from steadiness. Make this a daily practice. At the start of each day, identify one area where you are attached to a specific result. Consciously state your effort. I will do this with full presence, and then add the liberating phrase. I release attachment to the exact outcome. I trust myself to respond wisely to whatever arises. At first, it may feel uncomfortable. The mind wants certainty. It wants guarantees. But with repetition, you begin to experience what the sages have long taught. Peace lives in the present effort, not in future results. You act more creatively because fear no longer narrows your vision. You recover faster because your identity is no longer on the line with every outcome. Contrast this with the old way of desperate striving. When you are attached, every setback feels personal and catastrophic. Your nervous system stays activated. Clarity vanishes. You push harder in anxious ways that often push opportunities away. When you detach, the same effort becomes calm, focused, and sustainable. You bring your full intelligence to the moment, instead of scattering it across imagined futures. Paradoxically, this indifference often leads to better results. Not because you stopped caring, but because you stopped caring in a way that sabotaged yourself. Philosophically, this reflects a deep understanding of life's nature. Everything changes. Outcomes are temporary. The only constant you truly possess is your ability to respond. When you root your peace in that ability, rather than in fleeting results, you become unshakable. You plant seeds with love and diligence. Then let life do what only life can do. You will still feel hope. You will still feel excitement about desired outcomes. That is beautiful and human. Detachment simply means those feelings no longer own you. You hold them lightly. You pursue them wholeheartedly. And when they shift or dissolve, you remain whole. This skill builds beautifully on what you learned in the first chapter. As you release the need for approval, you also release attachment to specific external results. Together, they free you from two of the heaviest chains most people carry. You stop performing for others. You stop bargaining with the future. You begin to live with a quiet, steady power that cannot easily be disturbed. Imagine moving through your days like this. You prepare for the interview with excellence, then release the need for that exact job. You invest in the relationship with openness and honesty, then release the demand that it must unfold in one particular way. You commit to the project with creativity and discipline, then release obsession over the precise form success must take. In that release, energy returns. Clarity sharpens. Action becomes freer and more effective. You play the game of life with skill and heart, yet without the heavy burden of needing every round to go exactly as planned. This is the art of indifference applied to outcomes. Not caring less about your life, but caring more wisely. Not lowering your standards, but raising your inner freedom. Carry this forward. Plant your seeds with care. Release the exact harvest. And watch how life meets the steady, detached heart with opportunities, resilience, and a deep, unshakable peace that no single outcome can ever take away. Chapter 3. Ignore the noise. You wake up in the morning and immediately reach for your phone. Notifications flood in. Headlines scream for attention. Someone's opinion on social media sparks outrage. A friend shares the latest drama. The news cycle pulls you into distant conflicts. By the time you finish your coffee, your mind is already scattered, pulled in 20 directions before your day has truly begun. The noise never stops. It fragments your focus. It stirs unnecessary emotions. And slowly, without you realizing it, it steals your peace. This is the modern condition. Endless inputs, endless opinions, endless drama that has nothing to do with your life. Yet, you feel compelled to engage, to know, to react. A single comment, a trending story, a whispered piece of gossip, and your inner state shifts. Your energy leaks. Your clarity dims. What begins as idle curiosity ends as mental exhaustion. Why does the mind crave this noise? At its root, it fears silence. Silence asks you to face yourself. Noise offers distraction. It gives the illusion of connection, of staying informed, of being part of something larger. The ego loves it too. It provides endless opportunities to judge, compare, defend, and feel momentarily important. But every piece of unnecessary noise you absorb costs something precious. It drains your limited attention. It agitates your nervous system. It fills the quiet space where real wisdom and calm could grow. Here is the deeper truth. Most of what reaches you is not information. It is noise. And the cost of constant exposure is far higher than most people admit. Your attention is finite. Where it goes, your life flows. When you give it freely to everything and everyone, you have little left for what truly matters: your growth, your relationships, your own clear thinking. Imagine a lighthouse standing on a rocky coast. Storms rage around it. Waves crash. Winds howl. Ships pass in the distance, some steady, some struggling. The lighthouse does not chase the waves. It does not shout back at the wind. It does not follow every ship. It simply stands firm, shining its light where it is needed. Steady, consistent, unmoved by the chaos. That is what becomes possible when you learn to ignore the noise. Let me share the story of a man named Jim, a talented professional in a busy city. Like many, he started his mornings with news, scrolled through social media during breaks, and ended his evenings consuming other people's opinions and dramas. He felt informed, but he was rarely at peace. His focus at work suffered. Small things irritated him more than they should. He carried the emotional weight of events happening thousands of miles away. One day, after yet another spiral triggered by an online argument he wasn't even part of, he decided enough was enough. He began a simple practice of curation. He conducted what he called noise audits. Each week, he reviewed where his attention had gone. He asked himself honestly, what served me? What drained me? What was truly necessary? He unfollowed accounts that stirred negativity. He set strict limits on news and social media. He stopped engaging in gossip, even when it felt harmless. At first, the silence felt strange. His mind itched for stimulation. But soon, something remarkable happened. His thoughts grew clearer. His energy deepened. He accomplished more meaningful work in fewer hours. And most importantly, he felt like himself again, steady, present, unbothered. You can do the same. Here is a practical exercise to begin reclaiming your attention. Try it today. Call it a noise audit. Sit quietly for 10 minutes. Take a few slow breaths. Then ask yourself, what inputs am I allowing into my mind each day? Which ones truly serve my values, my goals, my peace? Which ones stir unnecessary emotion, comparison, or distraction. Write them down. Be ruthless. Social media feeds, group chats, news apps, office gossip, endless podcasts playing in the background. For each one that drains more than it gives, make a deliberate choice. Reduce it, mute it, or remove it entirely. Replace it with intentional silence or inputs that nourish you, such as deep reading, time in nature, focused work, or simply being with your own thoughts. Make this a weekly habit. Each Sunday evening, review the past week. Notice how much mental space was taken by noise. Celebrate the moments you chose presence instead. Over time, this audit becomes second nature. You develop a natural filter. You sense noise immediately and let it pass without engagement. This is not ignorance. It is strategic prioritization. The world will keep producing noise, loud, dramatic, urgent. You do not need to consume it all. A lighthouse does not dim its beam to argue with the storm. It simply continues shining. Your calm, focused attention is that light. When you begin ignoring the noise, clarity emerges. You hear your own thoughts more clearly. You make decisions from a deeper place. You respond to what truly matters instead of reacting to everything. Relationships improve because you bring more presence to the people who matter. Work deepens because your focus is no longer fragmented. Even your rest becomes more restorative because your mind is not replaying 1,000 irrelevant stories. Contrast this with the scattered life most people accept. Constant noise keeps them in reaction mode, jumping from one stimulus to the next, never fully present. They feel busy, but rarely effective, informed, but rarely wise, connected, but rarely at peace. You, on the other hand, become the still center. While others are tossed by every wave of opinion and drama, you remain grounded. That steadiness is rare, and in its rarity lies quiet power. Philosophically, this practice echoes an ancient understanding. The wise person is not the one who knows everything, but the one who knows what to ignore. In a world designed to capture your attention at every turn, the ability to say, "This does not deserve me," is a profound act of self-respect. It is not withdrawal from life. It is choosing to engage life on your own terms. As you master ignoring the noise, you will notice the benefits compounding. Triggers that once pulled you in now feel distant. Your nervous system stays calmer. Your energy remains available for what you value most. You begin to see clearly because your mind is no longer cluttered. And in that clarity, better choices arise naturally. This chapter builds upon what came before. Releasing the need for approval makes it easier to ignore opinions that do not serve you. Detaching from outcomes frees you from obsessing over every headline or possibility. Together, these practices create spaciousness. You stop feeding the noise, and the noise loses its power over you. You become the calmest person in any storm, not because the world grows quieter, but because you have learned what deserves your attention and what does not. That selective focus is a superpower. It multiplies your effectiveness. It deepens your peace. It returns you to yourself. So today, begin ignoring the noise. Curate what enters your mind. Protect your attention like the precious resource it is. Stand steady like the lighthouse. Shine where it matters. Let the storms pass without disturbance. In that choice, you reclaim something essential, the power to direct your own life. Not through force, but through wise indifference. Not by closing yourself off, but by opening yourself fully to what is real and meaningful. This is the growing freedom of not caring. The noise will always be there. You no longer have to let it in. And in that quiet refusal, you discover a clarity, a calm, and a personal power that the distracted world can only envy. Carry this with you. Guard your attention. Ignore the noise. And watch how steady, how clear, how powerfully unbothered you become. Chapter 4. Embrace rejection and failure. Rejection stings. It arrives without warning. A message left on read, a job application met with silence, an idea you shared with quiet hope dismissed in a single sentence. In that moment, something inside you tightens. Your mind rushes to fill the void with stories. I'm not enough. They saw the real me and turned away. This proves I should stop trying. The sting quickly becomes a wound. And for many, that wound defines the next weeks, months, sometimes years. Most people let rejection define them. One unanswered invitation becomes proof they are unlovable. One missed opportunity becomes evidence they are not capable. One failed attempt becomes a reason to play small and stay safe. They carry these moments like heavy stones in their pockets, slowing every future step. The pain feels personal, permanent, final. But here is the deeper truth. Rejection is not a verdict on your worth. It is data. It is direction. It is life's way of redirecting you toward what truly aligns. When you learn to embrace it instead of fearing it, something profound shifts inside you. Your ego hates rejection. It interprets every no as an attack on your identity. The ego wants to be chosen, celebrated, and proven right. When it isn't, it screams for defense or retreat. It tells you to hide, to shrink, to stop risking. This is why caring excessively about failure paralyzes growth. You hesitate before sending the message. You second guess before sharing the idea. You stay in situations long after they stop serving you, all to avoid the discomfort of possible rejection. The fear becomes a quiet cage. Opportunities pass. Life moves forward while you remain stuck, wondering why progress feels so heavy. But what if rejection lost its power over you? What if failure became simply another step instead of a stop sign? Consider the stories we rarely hear in the moment of defeat. The writer whose manuscript was rejected dozens of times before finding its home. The entrepreneur whose first 3 ventures collapsed, each teaching sharper lessons that fueled the fourth success. The person turned down again and again in dating, yet kept showing up with an open heart until the right connection arrived. These individuals did not succeed despite rejection. They succeeded through it. They treated every no as information, not identity. They detached their worth from the outcome and anchored it in their effort, their learning, and their persistence. You can do the same. The reframe is simple, yet powerful. Rejection is not about you. It is about fit. The job you didn't get? Perhaps another person's skills match the moment's needs more precisely. The date that went nowhere? 2 paths diverging for now. The idea that was dismissed? Maybe the timing wasn't right, or it simply wasn't strong enough yet. Every rejection carries hidden guidance. If you are willing to look without the fog of ego, this is not becoming numb. This is becoming antifragile. Numbness shuts down feelings and avoids risk. Anti-fragility feels the sting fully, then grows stronger because of it. Like a muscle that tears slightly under tension and rebuilds thicker and more resilient, your spirit can do the same. You still feel the disappointment. You still register the loss, but you no longer let it freeze you in place or define who you are. Here is a practical way to begin. The next time rejection lands, pause. Give yourself a moment to feel it, truly feel it, without immediately judging the feeling or yourself. Name it softly. This hurts. This stings. My ego is bruised. Then ask three gentle but powerful questions. What can I learn from this? What part of this was within my control? What will I do differently next time? Write the answers if it helps. Turn the emotional charge into fuel for adjustment. This small ritual creates space between the event and the story you tell about the event. Over time, the story softens from, I am a failure, to, this did not work, and now I know more. Another powerful practice is intentional exposure. Start small and safe. Share an idea with someone who might disagree. Apply for opportunities slightly beyond your current level. Reach out in ways that carry the possibility of rejection. Each time you survive a no without collapsing, your nervous system learns an important lesson. I can handle this. The fear response weakens. What once felt catastrophic begins to feel manageable. You build proof through repeated recovery. Think of it like this. A sailor who never leaves the harbor because of storms will never discover new lands. The sailor who learns to navigate rough waters, repair sails in the middle of the ocean, and trust the ship's design eventually crosses vast distances. Rejection and failure are your rough waters. They test the vessel. They reveal weaknesses to strengthen. They force course corrections that often lead to far better destinations than the original plan. There is immense freedom in this mindset. When you stop tying your piece to being accepted by everyone or succeeding at everything, you move faster. You pitch more ideas. You ask for more opportunities. You express yourself more honestly. You experiment without the crushing weight of, what if this fails and I am judged? Action becomes lighter. Momentum builds naturally because you are no longer pausing to protect an image that was always an illusion. You are not your last rejection. You are not your most recent failure. You are the sum of your courage to try, your willingness to adjust, and your quiet decision to continue. The world will reject parts of you, your art, your timing, your personality, your pace. That is inevitable. What matters is whether you reject yourself in response. The person who embraces rejection keeps their self-respect intact. They know their value travels with them, untouched by any single no. Imagine walking into opportunities or relationships or creative endeavors without the desperate need for a specific outcome. You bring your best. You stay open. And if it doesn't land, you walk away whole. No weeks of rumination. No identity collapse. Just clean learning and forward motion. That is power. That is the freedom most people sense, but rarely claim. Embracing rejection does not mean you stop caring about quality or growth. It means you care more about the long game than any single moment. Every master was once a beginner who failed publicly and often. The difference between those who quit and those who continue is rarely talent. It is their relationship with failure. The antifragile mind thanks rejection for the information, feels the emotion, then releases it. No lingering, no collapse, just steady recalibration. You will still feel the sting. Let it come, let it teach, then let it pass. Over time, you will notice something remarkable. Setbacks lose their drama. They become normal, even expected waypoints on any meaningful path. Your confidence stops fluctuating with external results and begins resting on something deeper, your willingness to show up again and again. This is how unbreakable momentum is built, not by avoiding failure, but by becoming someone who is no longer shattered by it. You act more boldly because the cost of rejection feels lighter. You recover faster because your sense of self no longer depends on every outcome. You create more because you are not editing your life in fear of judgment. And in that liberated state, you begin to attract what truly aligns opportunities, people, experiences, precisely because you are no longer shrinking to avoid what doesn't. Life will reject you, plans will fail, ideas will miss, people will choose differently. This will not change. But you can change. You can meet every closed door with curiosity instead of collapsing. You can treat every fall as preparation for a stronger rise. You can decide, quietly and firmly, that your worth travels with you, untouched by any single no. That decision is liberating. It is profound. It is the beginning of a version of you that moves through the world with steady power, open, resilient, and deeply unbothered by the tests that once held you back. The path to mastery is paved with rejection. Walk it anyway. Each step, each no, each adjusted effort brings you closer to the person who no longer fears the storm, because you have learned to become the steady ship that sails through it. And in that steadiness, you do not merely survive. You thrive. You create. You lead. You live with unbreakable momentum. This is emotional mastery. This is freedom. This is you becoming unshakable. Chapter 5. Let go of control over others. You try so hard to manage them. Their reactions, their choices, their moods, their growth. A partner who withdraws when you wish they would open up. A friend repeating the same painful patterns. A colleague whose negativity fills the room. A family member whose decisions worry you endlessly. You advise. You correct. You plead, sometimes gently, sometimes with rising frustration in your voice and tension in your body. You believe that if only they would change, listen, or see things your way, your peace would finally arrive. Yet, the more you reach for control over others, the more exhausted you become, the more your inner state frays. This is one of the heaviest illusions we carry. The belief that we can direct another person's behavior, thoughts, feelings, or path. It feels responsible. It feels like love. But beneath it lies a source of constant emotional turmoil. Why? Because other people are not extensions of you. They are vast oceans unto themselves, shaped by depths, currents, and storms you cannot fully see or command. Trying to control their every wave is like standing on the shore with outstretched arms, shouting at the tide to turn back or the storm to quiet. The sea does not obey. It moves according to its own nature, its own timing, its own hidden wisdom. And every time you strain against this truth, you only succeed in tiring yourself and disturbing your own waters. Most of us learn this through painful repetition. You invest hours explaining why they should see things differently. You replay conversations in your head, crafting the perfect words that will finally make them understand. You feel responsible for their happiness, their progress, their awakening. When they don't shift, resentment builds. When they resist, anger flares. When they continue exactly as they are, disappointment settles in like heavy fog. Your peace becomes conditional on their choices. And in that conditioning, your freedom disappears. There is a deeper reason this illusion holds us so tightly. It is rooted in fear and ego. The fear that if they don't change, you will suffer. The ego that believes it knows best, that its way is the right way, that its vision should shape reality. We convince ourselves we are helping, guiding, protecting, but often, beneath the caring surface, we are trying to soothe our own discomfort. We want their behavior to stop disturbing our inner world. Let me share a quiet story. There was a woman who loved her younger brother deeply. For years, She watched him make choices that led to repeated struggles, unstable relationships, financial missteps, endless cycles of drama. She would call, advise, sometimes intervene. She lost sleep worrying. She felt angry when he didn't listen. If only he would see what I see, she would think. Over the years, their once close bond grew tense and strained. One evening, after yet another crisis, she finally paused long enough to see clearly. Her efforts to control his path were not saving him. They were costing her own peace and damaging their relationship. She made a quiet decision. She would still love him fully. She would still offer support when it was genuinely asked for. But she would stop carrying the emotional weight of his journey as if it were her own. She would focus on her responses, her boundaries, and her life. What happened thereafter surprised her. The relationship did not collapse. In many ways, it grew healthier. Without the constant pressure of correction, her brother began opening up more honestly, and she herself felt lighter, freer, more present. She had reclaimed energy that had been leaking from her for years. This liberation is waiting for you too. Letting go of control over others does not mean you stop caring. It does not mean you become cold or indifferent. It is not resignation. It is mature wisdom. It is the clear understanding of the sacred boundary between influence and control. You can influence through your example, through calm communication, through consistent boundaries. But you cannot control another person's choices, timeline, or level of awareness. And the moment you truly accept this, freedom begins. Here is the practical shift. Whenever you feel the urge to manage someone else's behavior, pause and ask yourself one honest question. What is truly mine to control here? Almost always, the answer is simple: your own response, your own energy, your own boundaries. Not their decisions, not their pace, not their awareness. Practice this distinction daily. When someone acts in a way that frustrates or disappoints you, feel the impulse to fix or correct them. Then gently redirect your attention. What can I do in this moment to protect my peace and honor my values? Maybe it is expressing your truth once, clearly, and without attachment to their reaction. Maybe it is creating a healthy distance. Maybe it is simply observing without absorbing. The power lives in releasing the outcome. Set boundaries with love, but without emotional investment in whether they are immediately respected. You can say, "This behavior does not work for me," and then let your actions follow through. You do not need to monitor their change. You do not need to convince them why your boundary matters. You state it, you hold it, and you return your focus to your own life. This is minding your own business, not in a selfish or neglectful way, but in the deepest, most responsible sense. Your business is your growth, your integrity, your energy, your peace. Their business is theirs. When you tend your own garden with care and consistency, you model something far more powerful than any lecture or intervention ever could. Imagine the relief this brings. No more mental rehearsals of arguments that may never happen. No more carrying the emotional load of everyone else's decisions. No more tension in your body because someone else refuses to live according to your standards. Your nervous system softens. Your mind clears. You show up in your relationships with more genuine presence and far less pressure. Paradoxically, this letting go often improves the very connections you once tried so hard to control. When people sense they are not being managed or judged, their defenses soften. Authenticity finds space to breathe. Some will naturally rise toward better choices because they choose to, not because they are forced. Others may drift away, and that too becomes part of life's natural order. Either way, you remain steady. True power has never come from dominating others. It has always come from mastering yourself. The wise person does not exhaust his energy trying to steer every ship in the harbor. He keeps his own vessel strong, well captained, and true to its course. In doing so, he becomes a quiet, steady example. Some may follow, many may not. His peace remains untouched. You will still care. You will still feel concern for those you love. But your care becomes lighter, freer, less entangled. You offer wisdom when it is welcome. You hold space without forcing it to be filled. You love with open hands, rather than clenched fists. This is love matured. As you practice releasing control, you will feel energy returning to you. Energy that once fueled worry, rumination, and subtle manipulation now fuels your own creativity, healing, presence, and joy. You move through your days with greater spaciousness. People still act in unexpected ways. Challenges still arise, but they no longer have the power to derail your inner state. This is the heart of staying unbothered. Life will always place people in your path who think differently, act differently, and grow at different speeds. You cannot change that fundamental reality, but you can change how tightly you grip the illusion of control. You can choose to focus on the one person whose transformation is truly yours to shape yourself. Let them be. Let them learn their own lessons in their own time. Let them face their own consequences and celebrate their own victories. Your role is not the director of their story. It is the faithful guardian of your own. And in that guardianship, something beautiful and powerful emerges. Deeper peace, clearer relationships, unshakable inner authority. You become the calm within the storm, not because the storm has quieted, but because you have stopped trying to command the winds. This is freedom. This is wisdom. This is the quiet, grounded power of letting go. You no longer exhaust yourself directing waves that were never yours to command. Instead, you stand steady on the shore, present, centered, and profoundly unbothered, watching the ocean do what oceans do, while your own inner sea remains calm, vast, and deeply at peace. That steadiness is yours, and no one else's choices can ever take it from you. Chapter 6. Focus ruthlessly on what matters. You feel scattered, pulled in every direction. Notifications demand your attention. Opinions swirl around you. Small worries grow large. Someone's disapproval lingers in your mind. A minor inconvenience disrupts your focus. You try to care about everything, every slight, every task, every expectation, every possibility, and in that attempt, you end up caring about nothing deeply. Your energy fragments, your peace dissolves, and the life you truly want feels further away from you than ever. This is the quiet exhaustion of diffused attention. Most people live this way, pouring their limited emotional resources into 1,000 shallow streams. They react to whatever crosses their path. They chase approval in every interaction. They worry about outcomes they cannot influence. And slowly, steadily, their power slips away. But true power arises from radical selectivity. The unbothered mind does not try to care about everything. It chooses, with fierce clarity, what deserves its care and releases the rest. This is the art of strategic indifference, not cold detachment from life, but a deliberate guarding of your inner world. You stop watering weeds and begin nourishing what truly matters. Consider your energy as a finite flame. Every concern, every distraction, every unnecessary opinion is a draft that pulls at that flame. Spread too thin, it flickers weakly and struggles to illuminate anything. Concentrated on what matters, it becomes a focused beam, bright, steady, capable of creating real warmth and light. The difference is not in how much you have, it is in how ruthlessly you direct it. But why do we spread ourselves so thin in the first place? At the surface, it feels responsible. Caring about everything seems virtuous, being informed, being responsive, being good. But deeper down, it is often fear disguised. Fear of missing out, fear of being judged, fear of not being enough. The ego wants to manage every impression, control every variable, and win every small moment. In chasing all of it, you lose yourself. The deeper truth is this: your attention is your life force. Where it flows, your power grows. Masterful living is not about doing more or caring more broadly. It is about caring more deeply on fewer, higher things. When you release the unimportant, extraordinary results and profound peace become possible. Let's take the example of a man who once lived in constant mental noise. A mid-level manager, he answered every email immediately, absorbed every office drama, worried about his colleagues' opinions, tracked every news headline, and replayed conversations long after they ended. Over time, his health suffered, his relationships thinned, his own goals gathered dust. One morning, after yet another sleepless night fueled by trivial worries, he sat down and asked himself a simple but life-changing question: what truly matters to me? He began with values clarification, not vague ideals, but specific, deeply felt principles: presence with his family, mastery in his craft, physical vitality, honest self-expression, inner calm. He wrote them down. Then he conducted a ruthless audit of his daily life, where every habit, every commitment, every emotional investment was placed against these values. This is a practice you can begin today. Take a quiet moment. List what matters most to you, the non-negotiable elements that align with the life you want to live. Be honest. Be specific. Then, create what we might call an indifference list. Write down the people, opinions, outcomes, and distractions that do not serve those core values. The petty arguments, the social media scrolls, the need to be liked by everyone, the endless consumption of other people's drama. Commit to releasing them, not through force, but through conscious indifference. Each morning, perform a brief priority audit. Ask yourself, where will my energy create the most meaningful difference today? Direct your focus there first. Guard it fiercely. When distractions arise, as they always will, pause and ask, does this deserve my care? If not, let it pass like a cloud across the sky. No engagement, no emotional charge, just quiet release. The transformation in that man's life was striking. By saying no to the unimportant, he created space for what mattered. He deepened his relationships instead of managing surface impressions. He advanced in his work with clarity instead of scattered busyness. His nervous system calmed. Old triggers lost their grip because he no longer fed them attention. Strategic indifference had given him back his life. This is the contrast worth remembering. Diffused effort leads to mediocrity and exhaustion. Laser-focused mastery leads to depth, impact, and peace. The person who tries to fix every problem, respond to every voice, and carry every burden eventually collapses under the weight. The person who selects their battles, their concerns, and their investments moves with quiet power. They accomplish more by doing less, less reacting, less worrying, less performing. Philosophically, this echoes an ancient understanding. Freedom is not having everything, but needing very little. When you become ruthlessly clear about what matters, external noise loses its volume. You stop negotiating your peace with every passing event. You no longer equate busyness with importance or reactivity with care. You stand firm in your chosen direction. Of course, this selectivity requires discipline. It asks you to disappoint some people. It asks you to sit with the discomfort of not responding. It asks you to trust that what truly matters will flourish when given your full attention. But every time you choose focus over fragmentation, you strengthen the muscle of indifference where it serves you. Tie this to everything you have learned so far. Stopping the habit of taking things personally becomes easier when you no longer invest energy in every opinion. Building space between stimulus and reaction feels natural when your attention is anchored in what matters. Letting people misunderstand you, practicing detachment, releasing the need for closure, embracing discomfort, and letting go of control over others. All of these skills converge in ruthless focus. They free your energy so you can direct it intentionally. You begin to live from a place of profound alignment. Your days gain shape. Your choices gain weight. Your presence becomes deeper because it is no longer diluted. Relationships that matter grow stronger because you bring your full self to them instead of a scattered version. Work that matters advances because your creativity and effort are concentrated, and your inner world grows still because it is no longer crowded with trivialities. Strategic indifference is not neglect. It is reverence for your time, your energy, your potential, and your peace. It is the mature recognition that you cannot carry the world, but you can tend your corner of it with extraordinary care. So begin today. Clarify your values. Audit your attention. Build your indifference list. Practice saying no quietly, firmly, without explanation when necessary. Protect the flame of your focus. Watch how life responds when you stop scattering yourself. You will feel lighter, clearer, more powerful. Opportunities that align with what matters will become visible because your vision is no longer blurred. Challenges that once overwhelmed you will shrink in proportion because they no longer receive your emotional investment. This is how you become the calmest person in any room, not by controlling the chaos around you, but by refusing to let it control where your attention flows. This is how mastery is built, not through force or endless striving, but through wise, deliberate selection. The world will keep offering distractions, opinions, and demands. Let them come. You now know the difference. You choose what enters. You choose what stays. You choose what shapes your days and your life. In that choice lies your freedom. In that focus lies your power. In that ruthless clarity, you become profoundly, unshakably unbothered, anchored in what matters, indifferent to the rest, and fully alive in the life you were meant to live. Carry this forward. Focus ruthlessly, release wisely, and watch how everything changes. Conclusion: you have walked this path with courage. You have faced the quiet habits that once controlled you, the need for approval, the grip on outcomes, the noise that scattered your mind, the urge to manage others, the sting of rejection, and all the ways life tests your steadiness. Chapter by chapter, you have learned not to eliminate discomfort or conflict, but to meet them differently, not with resistance, but with wise indifference, not with force, but with freedom. Look at how far you have come. Where you once lived reactive and drained, your mood swinging with every comment, every delay, every unmet expectation, You now understand something deeper. Your inner state no longer needs to be negotiated with the outside world. You have discovered that real power is quieter. It is the ability to feel everything fully and still choose not to be controlled by it, to care deeply about what matters, while releasing the rest with calm indifference. This is the transformation from a life where external events dictated your peace to one where you stand grounded in your own center. You no longer chase validation or closure. You no longer personalize every slight or fight every battle. You no longer scatter your precious energy across endless noise and other people's journeys. Instead, you focus ruthlessly on what matters. You detach from outcomes while giving your fullest effort. You embrace rejection and failure as teachers. You protect your attention like a sacred flame. You have trained the space between stimulus and reaction. You have learned to let people misunderstand you. You have become comfortable with discomfort. And in doing so, you have stepped into a steadier, clearer, more powerful version of yourself. Remember this always. Emotional mastery is not a one-time event. It is not a switch you flip and forget. It is a daily practice, a disciplined return to yourself. There will still be moments when the old patterns whisper, when anger rises, when fear of rejection tightens your chest, when noise calls for your attention. In those moments, you now have a choice. You can recognize the wave before it carries you away. You can pause, breathe, redirect, choose again. So here is your challenge, beginning today. For the next 72 hours, commit to three simple but powerful practices. First, whenever you feel triggered by a message, a comment, a delay, or a disappointment, create space. Pause for at least 3 slow breaths. Ask yourself, what is mine to control here? What truly matters? Then respond, or choose not to, from that centered place. Second, perform one daily noise audit. Notice where your attention is being pulled and consciously release at least one unnecessary input, whether it is scrolling, gossip, or worrying about someone else's choices. Replace it with presence. Third, embrace one moment of rejection or discomfort without making it mean anything about your worth. Feel it, learn from it, then let it pass. Move forward with your own approval intact. Observe carefully how these small acts change your days. Notice the energy you conserve, the clarity that emerges, the lightness you begin to carry. Small practices create lasting identity shifts. Over time, situations that once controlled you will lose their grip. You will walk into any room, any challenge, any uncertainty without tightening inside. You are becoming the calmest person in the room, not because life has grown easier, but because you have grown stronger. Not because you dominate the chaos, but because you are no longer dominated by it. People will notice. They will feel the steady presence you bring. Some will be drawn to it. Others may test it. But you will remain unmoved, clear, grounded, free. This is the art of indifference. The power of not caring about the wrong things, so you can care more deeply about what matters. It is not coldness. It is wisdom. It is not disconnection. It is profound presence. It is the freedom to live your life fully, on your terms, with your energy intact, and your peace unshakable. Carry this with you not as fleeting motivation, but as quiet discipline. Become the person who no longer reacts impulsively, who no longer seeks approval from the world, who no longer clings to outcomes or other people's journeys. Become the person who protects their energy, embraces what comes, and moves forward with steady power. Life will continue to test you. That will never change. But now you know how to meet those tests. You know that your internal world matters more than external noise. Your peace is not for sale, and your power was never outside you. It was always waiting within. You have everything you need. The training is complete. The rest is practice. The rest is living. Step into this new chapter of your life with quiet confidence. Steady, clear, unbothered, free. This is you. This is the power of not caring. And no one, nothing, can ever take it from you again.